All right, in this video, we're talking SDR productivity, and I'll be sharing exactly how I go about structuring my day to make sure I'm being as efficient as possible with my time. I've worked in tech sales for 5 years. I started as an SDR, and I very quickly learned that time management and productivity are far more important than any cold call script or email script that you're going to be given. So in this video, I'll be sharing my experience when it comes to structuring a productive day and how to be as efficient as possible with your time. So let's get into it. All right. The first thing you got to keep in mind is that in the SDR role, and in any sales role for that matter, you are always balancing quantity versus quality. So quantity would be you do nothing, no strategic planning, and you just copy paste some basic message to 10,000 people without putting any thought into who you're reaching out to or why you're reaching out to them. Quality would be you spend a month teeing up the perfect message to some persona, and you don't reach out to anyone else, but this one message you crafted was absolute perfection. So we all understand at some basic level that we're constantly balancing this, and the goal is to maximize quantity while maintaining quality. So get out as much high quality targeted messaging as possible while also being able to maintain a fast pace and a high volume. Because in the SDR role, it is a numbers game. You gotta put out the volume. So we're always balancing that. So these tips I'm gonna go over, keep that in mind. The first tip, this is something I did at the start of every quarter. So a quarter is typically 3 months for most companies. The first 3 days of the quarter, I did almost no prospecting. And what I did instead was build as many contact lists in my CRM as possible. And I tried to make as many lists with similar traits as possible too. So I would make lists for all my individual accounts. I would make lists by persona, people who had similar job titles. I would make lists for people that were in similar time zones. The goal is to make these lists with as many similar characteristics as possible, and even overlap characteristics if you can. The reason I do this is because when I ultimately do start messaging them, if I have a list of 100 people that work at the same company or 100 people that have the same job title, the message I'm gonna send to them, I don't have to change that much about it, and it's gonna help me move through that list fast. Because if they all work at the same company or they all have the same job title, chances are whatever message I'm sending to all of them, I might just need to change their name and maybe the name of the company or something else that's small, that's quick, and I can get through that list of 100 people with a high quality message fast. So that's why I do that. And the other thing is, when you have all these lists ready to go, now you wake up knowing what to do rather than having to come up with what to do that day. So when you're tired, you're groggy, one of those days you wake up and you're like, oh my God, like we're back at it. Now at least you have all your lists ready and it's easy, it's done for you, rather than sitting down and being like, all right, who do I have to contact? What list do I have to make? You want to make it easy for yourself, reduce friction. An analogy would be Steve Jobs. He used to dress in the same black turtleneck, I don't know what else, but he used to put the same clothes on every day because he didn't want to waste mental energy on that stuff. It's the same idea for this. If you have all your lists ready, you do it right once. So I typically did it those first couple days of the quarter. Then the rest of the quarter, I never have to do that again. And now I can make messaging that's for those personas, for those companies. And now I have people in different time zones that I can call or email at different times of the day. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is after I have all those lists ready, here's what I would do when I got to work every morning is I'm an email guy in the morning. I'm a normal person. I don't like to rip calls the second I sit down at work. Some people say that cold calling early in the morning is the way to go. Maybe it is, I don't know. But if you have a good structure in place, it doesn't really matter the time in my opinion. So the first thing I do when I sit down is pick one of those lists and I do an A-B strategy throughout the week. So on Monday, I'll pick list A and email those 50, 100 people, however many that make sense for you. Then on Tuesday morning, which is the B list, I'll email a different set of people. Then on Wednesday, I will follow up with list A and go one by one. I'll go into my sent box to Monday and just follow up with all those people. On Thursday, I'll go into my sent box, follow up with all the Tuesday people. And then on Friday morning when I wake up, I'll follow up one more time with all the people on both lists. That way they're all getting 3 emails from me in a 1 week period. So it's list A Monday, list B Tuesday, follow up list A Wednesday, follow up list B Thursday, follow up list A and B Friday. And that's a consistent structure you can follow. And again, now you come to work knowing what to do every day. The next thing I do within that A-B strategy is pre-scheduled call blocks, which can be moved around, but the times I personally like to call are 11 a.m. to 12 noon, and at the end of the day, like 3:30 to 4:30 or 4 to 5. So I like to get 2 call blocks in there. And the reason I like to set those times up is 11 a.m., for example, that call block, I'll call my West Coast accounts because I live in the East Coast. So it's early morning for them, but now, I'm awake, the juices are flowing, I'm ready to call people that they're getting that call first thing in the morning now. And then at the end of the day, I actually think the end of the day is a good time to call. You're getting people as they're sort of wrapping up. They're probably less busy. That's when I call some of my East Coast accounts. So that Monday list A that I emailed, I will call them on Tuesday during one of those call blocks. And then that Tuesday list B that I emailed, I'll call them on Wednesday during one of those call blocks. So you see how I start to interchange some of these and create a structure around it. So by the end of the week, each person has been emailed 3 times and called at least 2 or 3 times as well. I think that's a pretty good pace, 5 interaction touch points in a 5-day span. So that's a big. Pre-schedule those call blocks. They can be moved around. And then the last thing is 4, use now the rest of the time throughout that day to take any meetings you have, or maybe work on some more high quality, very targeted messaging, work with your account team, your account executives, whoever you're working with. But now you have that structure in place where you're getting those AB emails out, you got those scheduled call blocks out, and usually that only takes about 2 hours a day, and then you have the rest of the day to handle whatever else you got to handle, whatever job duties you have, whatever daily responsibilities are expected with you, working with your account team, meeting with partners, anything like that, working on high quality, very specific targeted messaging. And this is a good structure to help you balance both quantity and quality. The structure is meant to help you with the quantity piece and give you something to do every day. And then that should free up time for you to work on the higher quality activities. So this is a basic example of how I structure my day and my week. Sometimes this stuff gets moved around based on what's going on, but I try and stay as consistent as possible as I can with all of this. So hope you enjoyed, hope that helps. If it did, subscribe, join the community. We'd love to have you, and I'll see you on the next one.